Good evening, family. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. We are back. We are back. Me and my girl T. Where she at? Hey T.
Hey, Key, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, girl. I'm hanging in there.
Yeah, you look cute.
Thank you, Boo. So do you.
Thank you. We are so excited for this Girl Talk Tuesday, as we call it, sipping the tea with Key and T. Yes, I got it right this time. How are you doing, IBW? As you are coming in, please like, share, and comment. Let us know where you are coming in from. And listen, make sure you tag your sister, your mother, your daughter to this conversation. We want the women to be in big numbers. Listen, we don't want Jason and Spud to outdo us. Okay, that's what we don't want to do. So we want you to come on in. We want to get our numbers up for these next few weeks so that we can have more numbers than Jason and Spud. So as you are coming in, please like, share, comment. Let us know where you're coming from, where you're calling from, Arizona, where you at, where you at. Let us know because we
No.
are International Bible Way. Praise the Lord, Apostle Greaves, our second vice apostle. Look at Swell, look at Swell. Apostle Greaves is with us tonight. Thank God, our Apostle Greaves. But it's all right, brother. We trying to get these numbers up, all right? Because we're not gonna let you and Jason out. We're not gonna let y'all do it. We not gonna let y'all do it. So come on, ladies, come on in. Come on in. We're talking about mental health, especially in the church. This is a very, very big topic with everything that's going on in the world. And we have some amazing women in Bible Way who specialize in grief and mental health. We have a lot of therapists in our organization. As you are coming in, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, please tag somebody to this conversation as we're preparing for our women's luncheon. Our women's luncheon, we are so excited. It is March 17th. I'm super excited. My green dress came today and it is cute. I don't know if it's going to fit, but we're going to see. We are going to see. We are so excited. How you doing, Pastor Adrian? Thank you for joining us tonight. We're just going to get a few more people in. Listen, tag somebody to this conversation. Before we let our guests come on, we want to get as many people up. We want to get these numbers up, because we don't want nobody to miss this. And by a way of announcement, if you have not yet purchased your ticket for the women's luncheon, I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it. You want to be in the building. First of all, you want to be at the workers' meeting, period. Why? Because we have not met together in 2 years for a national meeting. You want to make sure that you are with us March 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. We have some phenomenal speakers. We have some phenomenal workshops. We have the great luncheon coming up. Hey, Aunt Jean, my Aunt Jean is on. Hey, Mom, my mom is on. Listen, you want to make sure you're in the building. Register for the workers' meeting. If you want to be VIP, you can be VIP. If you want to be general admission, you can be general admission. But make sure you register for All Shades of Green. That's right, Pastor Adrian. All Shades of Green Women Luncheon. And I went with like a hunter green tiara because I kind of like that in this season.
I like that.
Yeah, don't you think that?
You gotta switch it up a little bit.
I know, right? Right. I try to do my little green, my little lime green tonight.
I like it. Nice and bright.
Right. To encourage you, ladies, get your green, all shades of green. We're going to be looking beautiful on March 17th for this women's luncheon. So listen, tag somebody to this conversation because we are getting ready to bring our guests on stage. First, we have our very own Lady Patricia Greaves. How you doing, Lady Greaves?
I am fine. How are you today?
I'm good. This is our second vice presiding bishop's wife, Lady Patricia Greaves. Then we have our Lady Jackie Williams. Welcome, Lady Williams. How you doing?
I am great. How are you?
I'm awesome. We are doing well. We're so glad to have you ladies on here with us tonight to talk about this crucial topic of mental health, especially as women, as African American women in the church. Many of us really don't take the time to take care of ourselves, let alone our mental health. If you're a mother, if you are a wife, a first lady, whomever, we want you to log in onto this conversation as we talk about mental health. T, you have the floor.
All right, let's do it. So, Lady Greaves, we're going to kick it off with you. Can you tell us how you would define mental health?
Have to be emotionally stable, and that's a hard thing to achieve, especially in this temperament that we're living in.
Mm-hmm.
But even at my local ministry at Christ Community Church in Peekskill, we, especially in the springtime, we kick off with our stay fit, mind, body, and soul, because we always focus on the weight loss and we neglect the other two. So don't just want to lose the weight, but you got to you have to focus intentionally about being fit, mind, body, and soul. Read a book, unplug. All these venues are nice, but I define mental health as not only being academically sound, but just unplugging from life and relaxing. And the hardest thing I think it is for us to do is to think about nothing. Just be in the moment and just, appreciate the sunshine, the birds, walk by the water. Don't get suicidal, but walk by the water.
Right.
But, just appreciate where you are. One thing I had to do recently when I was counseling, mentoring one of my cadets, and she's all over the place. She's always focusing on what she doesn't have. And I said, no, I want you to redirect that to what you do have. Like, she was getting a little bit of a frustration because she needs to lose 10 pounds. I said, but you're forgetting the fact you just lost 40.
Wow.
You really just lost 40 pounds. She was upset over the fact that when she does her 1 mile run, she missed the time by 5 seconds. I said, but it was only 5 seconds. So you did a 1 mile run, and all you missed it was 5 seconds. So I'm redirecting her focus on not the feeling of defeat.
Right.
Applaud your accomplishments. And I think that's what we as women need to do. Because I tell them all the time, you're not always going to have a cheerleading session. You're not going to have someone there patting on your back, telling you're doing a great job. Encourage yourself, like the Bible says. Don't take what everyone else say about you to heart. Do the self-examination, correct what you need, but applaud yourself. Think back over your life, how much God has brought you through, and you made it. You're here. So be that light, that voice, that help that our sisters in Christ and outside of whatever our other venue is, people are looking to you for your strength. So there will be times when you have to just pause. I start my every day in prayer. My day don't go right unless I pray. I have to start my day in prayer. And it's not so much as asking God what I want. It's more like being calm and like, Lord, what do you want me to do?
Right.
Who do you want me to minister to today? What should I say? I command my day and commit my day to you. So whatever venue that looks like, that's where I'll walk. And that's what it has to be, because people are depending on you. And if you're not at your top or you're not on your game, because my thing is, like, for me, I think every first lady, every pastor, whatever walk you in, you need a go-to.
Come on.
You have to have someone to go to talk to make sure you're level-headed, to make sure you have someone to go to confide in, your safe place. Because let's face it, we're all human, and we're not always on that mountain all the time. Sometimes we're in the valley ourselves.
That's right.
And yes, Jesus is there, but you want a person,
right?
Your safe place. So for me, I have several people that I can go talk to talk me off my ledge, to bring me back into my reality. Every pastor needs a pastor. Every first lady needs another first lady to understand where they are. It is what it is. Even as a chaplain, I'm grateful. My chaplain is my mentor. She's a full-bird colonel. And if I'm having a meltdown moment, she come in, Chaplain Greaves, calm down. And then it's all good. One time, one of my mentors said, sometimes you have to embrace the suck.
That's good.
Yeah. I like it.
You don't want to hear. I was like, I'm waiting for this profound, woo moment. And she said, no, embrace the suck. It'll pass. So embrace the suck. I was like, wow, okay. And that's what I've been telling some of my soldiers now. Sometimes it is what it is until it's not.
I love that definition, because you brought it home to everyone. I mean, I've heard many definitions of mental health, and they'll make the things sound so complicated, but you just brought it right down to where everyone can understand what applies to all of us about how you have to look at the body and the soul. I mean, there's so many other elements that we often neglect. We focus so much on the physical self, but don't think about our mind and how that plays such a big role. And so you mentioned the your cadets and who you work with. Can you tell us a little bit more about your profession?
I currently serve as a major in the Army as an Army chaplain, and I keep telling them I'm a chaplain to everyone because I'm being told a black female officer is already hard to find, but then is predominantly a white field. So they kick off, as we know, March is also Women's Month.
Yes.
And so they're really pushing empowering women. So I just even on yesterday, one of my cadets is in college and they're in what they call the ROTC program. And so eventually all of them will be an officer of some sort, not necessarily a chaplain, but they had no representation. So I was honored to set up a Zoom for them and let them know the real of the Army, that black female officers are far and few in between. But when we walk in, don't be their narrative. They're looking for you to come in with the head rolling, the finger pointing, loud. I said, no. Walk into that room first with your education, because you need a degree to be there. And then second, let your rank work for you. So don't worry about answering every argument or proving who you are. That's irrelevant. You know who you are. And don't let anyone belittle you into feeling like you don't belong there. There was a season in my life when I was an Army engineer. I was the only black female officer in the company of 200 men.
Wow.
So when I walked in the room, they knew exactly who I was. But I came here to do my job. I was in horizontal construction. I'm here to do my job. And some of them didn't like the fact that I did it well. That's fine. I'm not here to prove anything to you. I proved that when I graduated out of engineering school. So I earned my right to be here. And so that's my message to all the cadets. Don't let no one tell you that you can't. Don't let no one tell you that you're less than, because you're not. Okay? You have to, on the chaplain side, I could tell them, rely on your faith, rely on prayer. But when they're not a believer, I have to tap into, listen, draw your strength and on that negative energy, turn it to positive, and show them by your success. If they tell you you can't do it, your success will speak that you can.
Right.
That's amen. Right. Amen. I love it. So, Lady Williams, can you tell us, give us an example of what your definition of mental health would be, and tell us more about your profession?
Wait, but hold up, T. Aren't you an engineer too?
I am.
See, y'all both engineers. Come through.
Okay.
Just slide that in there because I knew you was an engineer, sis. Come through.
It is glad to see another one, and I get where you're coming from. When you're walking into a room of men, you're in classrooms with all men, and at first it can be a little bit intimidating. I'll admit I was intimidated, walking in college and seeing all that and being the only woman and the only black person, in the room. But like you said, you got to walk in knowing who you are, and you got to, do what you got to do. And so God allowed us both to graduate and allowed us to both be doing wonderful things in our careers and
amen
in our walk with God. So I love it. I love to see it. Yes. Okay, Lady Williams.
Okay, so I would say for me, mental health it's that driving factor on how we all feel, how we think, and how we act. Mental health is so important because it determines how we handle stressful situations and the life decisions that we make. I would say since COVID-19, mental health has magnified.
Yes.
It has magnified like never before. Mental health has always been around, but it seems like COVID-19 is when it actually magnified itself. So it's important to be in a comfortable or good position psychologically, emotionally, because again, that's going to drive the decisions that you make. not only for yourself, but for your family, for your friends, for your church. It is vital. It also drives those decisions that you make professionally. So, professionally, full time, I work with Lady Greaves, I work with veterans.
I know. We need you.
I work with veterans who are dealing with different emotional issues, who need resources, financial, housing, etc. And I will say that is a very stressful job. So it is vital that I keep my emotional state together. So, as Lady Grief said, it is important to have that go to person that you can go to because, yes, everybody needs somebody to talk you down when you're having a very stressful day. Outside of that, I have my own grief company. It's called 360 Grief Support Services. And I specialize in grief. I deal a lot with grieving parents who have lost a child. I also work with others as well. But we also need to keep in mind when we're talking about grief, there's loss. And so some people say, well, what do you mean by that, Jackie? What do you mean? You know, yes, we lose individuals who pass away, but we often forget about those who have suffered other losses,
Right.
such as relationships, marriages, um,
Job.
jobs. Jobs has been a huge one. A lot of people, you've worked so long with an organization, you've given it your all, and then all of a sudden you laid off. That is going to impact you.
Yeah.
That is going to impact you and could send you over the edge if you don't speak to someone
Right.
about it. So that is my specialty, dealing with grief. I'm also a bereavement doula. So a doula is a person who you have different types of doulas. You have the birthing doula, which I'm trained in that as well. But I decided to focus more on the bereavement side because that's where we are missing. That is where the gap is, and more importantly, it's the gap in the African American community as well. You don't have a lot of Black doulas out there, so I specialize in working with those parents who have lost a child, or they know that, or been given the news that their child will not be born alive.
Wow, I didn't even know that that was a thing, but I
Mhm.
definitely see how it's very much needed. And I love how your what you do spreads across so many different people, with the veterans, with the parents, just dealing with people that have lost anything in general. I don't think I've ever looked at grief that way, just as a loss in general, not actually losing a person, but losing anything. And that's a great point that you made, because when that comes and it's unexpected, or even if it is expected, that deals with, like you said, your decision making, and that makes a difference in how you move, throughout each day. Love that. Oh, this is gonna be good, Keith.
Oh,
Can
Yeah.
I
I'm
add one?
ready. Listen,
Wait,
I'm
wait,
ready.
can I add one thing to that too?
Yeah.
I'm happy because I know Lady Williams, and we had a conversation about it before that. Um, at the end of the day, PTSD is not just a military terminology.
That's
We
right,
must
Lady Breeze.
understand that PTSD is any post-traumatic trauma,
Yeah.
post-traumatic stress that happen in anybody's walk of life. So I'm making that at a point because knowing that she deals with grief and things to that nature, post-traumatic stress is anything that an event happened and it's totally stressed you out and you don't know if you're coming or going.
Right.
And so how, and like Lady Williams pointed out, how are you dealing with that stress? Most people don't know how. They turn to substance abuse. They turn to promiscuity. They turn to outside things trying to relieve themselves, as opposed to coming to someone like everyone in this platform for the conversation.
Mhm.
And letting them know they can face this and deal with it without using external things to try to pacify this pain that they don't think no one else can understand. I may not have gone through what you've gone through, but guess what? Pain is pain.
Right.
So I can speak to the pain of what you're feeling and give you the tools to navigate through it. So I just wanted to add that little caveat that PTSD is not just a military terminology. It's any post-traumatic stress that people have encountered, even in the church world.
That's
Let's
so
not do
true.
it.
Yes, yes.
It happens in local ministries. They talk about church hurt. I don't believe in church hurt. People hurt people.
That's good.
Can
As you
I
are
add
coming,
something to
let
that?
me let me just set the room really quick. If you're coming in, listen, we are 45 people. I want to beat Jason and Spud. So if you can, please tag 3 women to this conversation, all ages. We are talking about mental health, grief in the church. We have 2 experts on here who are well equipped to answer your questions. We're going to answer some questions tonight. You can put it in the chat. Listen, we want to get deep in this conversation because we tap danced around it for too long. And many of us are hitting brick walls because we are not dealing with the pain. But we're going to get to the root tonight. So I need you to tag 3 women to this conversation. 3, all ages. Tag them into this conversation so our numbers can get up and we can be Spud and Jason. Go ahead, Lady Williams.
No, I'm so glad that Lady Greaves brought up PTSD, because it is true. A lot of times when we hear the term, we only think military.
Right.
And that's not true. You could have a little girl who's dealing with PTSD because they have been sexually assaulted.
Right.
So we really have to keep that in mind when we hear those terms. Don't automatically assume, oh, were you in the military? That's not the case. It can happen to anyone who has experienced a traumatic event.
Right.
That is so true. And the crazy thing is I started therapy 4 years ago. I'm an advocate for therapy because I realized I had a lot of rooted issues as a child dealing with so much loss at a young age. And when my therapist told me that I had PTSD, I was like, I wasn't in no army. What you talking about? So when she explained it to me, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That makes so much sense. And we don't realize how much trauma affects us, especially as African Americans, right? We've dealt with so much trauma, whether it be molestation, whether it be, your father dying at a young age, so much stuff, has even sickness, right? We have dealt with so much of that we really don't deal with it in the church. We shout over it, we cry over it, right? So what I want to talk about, Lady Jackie, with you, as it pertains to grief, you talked about it a little bit, that it's just not actually somebody physically dying. But how do we deal with the grief of the transition of what's going on in the world? Because everybody is not okay.
That's
and they
right.
keep saying, I'm going to wait till this is over. But we don't know when this is going to be over. So we need to get the help now. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do we deal with the transition, the grief of the loss of how things used to be?
Well, first of all, I think we have to actually admit we need help.
Right.
Because so many people walk around, with a smile on their face. They look put together, they're good, especially in church.
Yep.
But if you could take the top off and look down inside, they are a dismantled mess. So I think, first of all, it's important to just check on each other.
Yeah.
We have to ask each other. And I'm not talking about a text message or social media. Pick up the phone and call someone and say, how are you doing? How are you handling what's going on in the world with COVID and transitioning and going from mask to no mask and so forth? How are you handling it? It's very difficult. It is so important to get and speak with someone about what you're feeling. If you're feeling afraid,
Right.
you need to speak it.
Yeah.
If you're concerned, you need to speak it. If you're upset, if you're irritated, you need to speak on it. Right? I think that's the only way that we can actually get through this. First and foremost, though, it is imperative to pray about it.
Right.
That's the first thing. You have to pray about it. Because when you pray about it, God is certainly listening,
Mm-hmm.
and He will put resources at your foot that will be able to help you during these times.
That's good. I agree. That is so
Mhm.
so good as far as checking on each other, making sure that each other is fine. I mean, nowadays we FaceTime, we text still, but we FaceTime each other again just to see the person's face that you
Yep.
may not have seen in a long time. I think that is so important because God created us to be relational. And the
Mhm.
fact that we were isolated like that for so long, people got accustomed to being separated. So
Mhm.
now that the world is opening up, it's like some people have anxiety about going back outside and going back to the way things used to be. I mean, I had to catch myself even when they're saying in New Jersey we don't have to wear masks. I still wear masks because I'm afraid not to. I have an autoimmune disease. I can't be caught in these streets slipping not covered. Okay, I gotta make sure that I'm covered at all times. But Lady Greaves, and when it comes to dealing with where you are, the area that you're dealing with, how do you believe as far as mentally wise, how can we heal in the mind? Lady, she said that we had to deal with it, not covering it, but how do we get to the root of dealing with it? Like, what is normal? We put masks on for so long, but how do we really deal with it? What does that look like?
I don't contribute to the word normal because
Okay.
your normal is not my normal.
Right.
But I think for so long, what's happened is that we've learned how to function in our dysfunction,
Mm.
and that's where the root of it all has. We've learned the church sayings. I'm blessed and highly favored. No, you're hit and
Right.
miss. I can see it on you. You're not good.
Mhm.
And as Lady Williams pointed out, you it's like any other thing. When you go to, if those that had struggled with alcoholism and you go to Alcohol Anonymous, you have to first admit that you have a problem.
Yes.
That's where the healing begins.
Yes.
You can't walk around talking about I'm okay. No, you're not okay. Come and have a seat. And as counselors, one of our first rules is I'm not here to do you any harm.
Mm.
That's what I live by.
Yeah.
I'm going to create a safe space for you to scream, shout, run, just let it out. Here's a punching bag, punch the bag, do something.
Mhm.
So to get back to that so-called normal mental state,
Yeah.
you need a release. And in church, we've been
Mm.
doing it for so long. Scream, holler, run around the church 15 times. No. There have been a time in my life when like I had to deal with loss after loss after loss, like 7 years straight. I lost my grandmother, my grandfather, my oldest brother, my oldest sister, my mother, my baby sister.
Wow.
I hated when January came in.
Wow.
So dealing with all that at such a young age and then being left to deal with the mass of it.
Yeah.
I went into, I thank God my brother was in the military and I was at Fort Belvoir. I found me the deepest, darkest woods, and I hate the woods, even being in the military. And I just screamed. I
Mm.
needed to get a release. I just, at the top of my lungs, I didn't want nobody to think I was crazy. And that's the part. We don't show our vulnerability because we don't want to be pegged and labeled.
That's good.
You're not crazy. You're human.
That's
And
great.
that's the conversation I have with most of my cadets. And I'll just share this one thing real quick. When I was in Fort Knox, Kentucky over the summer, I had the opportunity to counsel 1,200 cadets on different levels. And there was this one activity they had to do, which would propel down this 10-story wall. They had to do it on the wall and then they had to free fall. My position was watch those cadets, male or female, it didn't matter, to make sure they okay. This one female propelled down the wall, and when she got to the bottom, she lost it. She started screaming, shaking, and so I ran out to the field to her. And then she started screaming, "You don't understand. I was homeless and someone threw me off the wall." I was
Mm.
like, first of all, I need you to calm down
Mm.
because you shouldn't be telling that in this forum. And I need you to come to the side with me so we can have a conversation. No, 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 I got to finish this because I got to pass. You don't understand. I said, look at me. And I had to grab her by her arms and say, breathe. You're not there. Breathe with me. So I had to calm her down and let her breathe. And I said, if you're not mentally able to complete this task, let me know. No, 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 I got to, because without this, I'm homeless.
My God.
This
Wow.
is her reality.
Mm.
So I said, fine, I'm gonna walk up to the top of this tower with you, and I'm gonna speak to the commanders up there to let them know. And I said, then when you come down off this wall, I'll be at the bottom of here waiting for you.
Wow.
So one of the things that we exercise, and I tell all my cadet chaplains and everyone that I mentor, ministry of presence is so important.
Mm.
Sometimes you just have to be there. So I walked all these stairs up to the top with her, had that harness up, explained the situation to the NCO that was up there. And I said, and I had to tell her one more time, I'm waiting for you at the bottom. Don't be afraid. You're not there anymore. It
Wow.
took me 20 minutes, but she did complete the task. And she was happy when she hit the bottom onto the ground. I was there waiting for her. I didn't have to say anything. The fact that my presence was there.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So I take that from the military side and say it to the ministry side. Like you said, we do what we call a wellness check. We have to check on you. And it's not to get in your business, it's not to broadcast you. It's sincere. Are you okay? Because if you are not, come to me and I'm here. If you want to cry together, we'll cry. If you want to pray, we'll pray. But you need that release. So to get to your mental stability or back to what you think your mental health should be, you have to first admit you have a problem. And then second, have the conversation. Have the hard conversation. And then those that are trained to do so, we know how to get you where you need to go and give you tools to try to cope and navigate through what's going on in your head. One of our worst conversations are the ones we have in our heads.
I know
Yes.
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. If anyone has any questions, please, send the questions. We want to, get everyone's questions answered tonight. We want to get the help we need. You never know how your question could, impact someone else. So please, this is a safe space. We're all women. We're all doing this together. So ask your questions. So moving on, kind of still on that topic, women, especially Black women, are known to kind of be this or expected to be superwoman and to handle all these different roles and tasks. So this is a question is for the both of you. How can you help us women manage all these different roles in ministry, in school, in work, at home, just, being just a woman for ourselves?
Lady Williams, I'll let you go
I,
first.
I would say, one, as a woman, you have to be in tune with yourself.
That's good.
You have to know what you are capable of doing and what you're incapable of doing. Um, because yes, as you state, we wear so many hats. We are the mom, we are the first lady, the elder, the pastor, we are the worker, we are the counselor, we are the referee. When the children are doing what they're doing, we're wearing it all. And then of course you're the spouse. So you have to wear all of these hats. But what's so important is know what you are capable of handling and what you can delegate. What I've learned, and it took me some time to learn this, is know when to say no.
Mm.
Yes, Lord.
That's good.
It took me some time to understand and be able to say no and not feel guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Not feel guilty.
Because that was a thing that I felt like if I didn't do what someone asked me to do, then I felt guilty and that I was letting them down. But I soon learned that that's not the case.
Yeah.
I know when to say no. I know when to say yes. I know when my plate is too full.
Right.
And I know when I need to take some things off because we only have 24 hours in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Just 24 hours in a day. And if you're juggling all of these hats and one thing should fall off, don't feel bad about it. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't put yourself down. Don't think that you're worthless or you're a failure about it, because you're not. because then that's when you start leading into other things such as, depression, leading into anxiety and possibly suicidal thoughts
And we
when
have
you
a
can't
question
meet
on
the
that.
expectations of the world.
I think also I see the question too.
Okay.
But first I want to say is I agree with Lady Williams that one thing I've been telling a lot of people, and I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but you have to put yourself on your calendar
Mm,
Yes, absolutely.
because we are being everything to everyone and nothing to ourselves.
nothing.
And you cannot pour from that empty cup.
Mhm.
So at some point, it's okay, like she said, to say no and no without explanation. No is an answer. End
Right.
of sentence. So when you're putting yourself on your calendar, you have to be intentional about that. And to answer Sister Gilchrist's question about how to deal with or control anxiety, the best way to control anxiety without taking medication, because everybody want to put you on antidepressants.
Yes.
No, anxiety is you activating the thoughts in your mind again. So what you have to do is number one, remind yourself, if you're a believer, remind yourself that God said, be anxious for nothing.
That's right.
So you have to pause and pray. That's how I tell everyone to handle that anxiety, how to control it. Pause and then redirect your mind to think on the things that make you calm, to make you relaxed. Stop overthinking it. Stop trying to figure out your whole life in that 24-hour clock. Handle what you can handle and be okay not handling everything at the same time. Because like I said, you have to get yourself into your own regiment, your own groove, and don't let anyone upset that. I've been telling a lot of people also, I'm no longer letting your urgency become mine,
Mm.
because before it got there, I probably asked, did you need help? Is there something I could do? And you try to be that superwoman. You want to be Wonder Woman and conquer the world, and you don't need nobody. But now you are overtaxing yourself. And now I'm going to throw you that lifeline, but your urgency is not mine. And when I walk into a room, I have to realize that too. My urgency is not yours. So I have to compartmentalize and separate and prioritize my life as well. But one thing I've learned to do is put myself on my calendar. And on my calendar, I'm gonna go get my nails done. I'm gonna go get my pedicure.
Get
You know,
it?
I'm gonna go work out and do my walk, or I've um gotten to riding my bike. I go to exercise, and I go to, that's my release. So you have to find what is your niche. Some people like to do puzzles. We all got games on our phone. Set aside your personal time where you're not answering that phone, you're not answering that email, you're not doing anything but having some me time. And that's very important. It has to be intentional, and it has to be often, because you'll find yourself on the burnout side of the burnout, and you don't want to be there. And the only way you can not be there is to make sure you refresh yourself. Take time for yourself, pamper yourself. It's not being selfish,
Right.
it's being you. And you need that part of your life. Because, like Lady and everyone on here said, you're the wife, you're the mother, in my situation, you're the major, you're the chaplain, you're the first lady, you're the minister, you're the problem fixer.
Right.
Not realizing that you got issues and problems yourself.
Come on.
And most times we put ourselves on a back burner because we're too busy helping everybody else. Put yourself on your calendar and deal with yourself. That's how you handle your stress, your anxiety. That's how you could get somewhat control of it. But you have to be important to yourself.
What I think is so I don't want to say it's so crazy, but as believers, I think we over I don't want to say religious, but we over
Spiritualize.
spiritualize, yes, everything to the point to wherein even like you said, your different outlets, like working out and stuff like that, you'll say, oh, what's your outlet? Oh, reading the Bible. No, outside of that, what is your outlet? What do you like to do? And we never take the time to get to know us, because we want to Bible everything. We're first natural first and then spiritual. So we never get a chance to relieve ourselves because we just want to shout our way out or cry our way out, or you know what I mean? We over spiritualize everything, but it's some practical things that God has placed here on this earth as women for us to do. I mean, I just did that yesterday. I went to a spa. It's called Sojo Spa. If you are in the New Jersey area in Edgewater, I was there for 5 hours by myself. I could have went with a friend, but I decided to go by myself. It's 4 levels of spas, pools, sauna, and I spent the whole day just relaxing, no phone, no nothing. When I tell you, I felt so refreshed and rejuvenated because I needed to like decompress my mind with everything going on, and I enjoyed Kiana. But we don't take the time as women to get to know us. So I want to shift gears. How do we practice self-care as Christian believers?
Help us.
Anybody can answer that question.
Well, I'm going to start with what you just said. I think a big help is to put this down. Put it down. Put it down and walk away, which most of us can't do. We can't. And if we don't have the phone, some of us got those watches. I refuse to get one.
Right.
Because when I'm away from my phone, I'm intentionally unplugged. And sometimes my husband get at me sometimes. I've been calling you. Where's your phone? Upstairs on the charger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can do that. I can walk away from my phone and not be plugged in. You know, and sometimes I intentionally do that. You know, so that's one thing. To intentionally take care of yourself. I'm all about self-care.
Yeah.
Because like I said, everyone is in this walk where you're always pouring out, giving. When are you in the posture to receive? And it, like Sister Q just said, it has to be more than this church and I'm worshiping and I'm praising God. I love the Lord with all that I am.
Yes.
I really, really do. It is my prayer life that keep me upright and stable. But there are some days I want to unplug from that too. I just want to have and it doesn't mean I don't love the Lord. Right. It doesn't mean I don't love church.
Right.
But we church all the time.
All the time.
And I really mean all the time.
Even virtually, all the time.
Sometimes you just have to unplug. It's not turning your back on God. You're not losing your faith.
That's right.
Listen, if you want to make it spiritual, Jesus went away a lot from his disciples. Away. He got away from the crowd. He got away from everybody. And they was tracking him down.
Yep.
And where were you, Jesus? I had to go on this boat and get away from you.
Right.
I had to go up to the mountains to spend time with my Father because you are on my nerves.
Yes. Right.
Did you read the book? I read the book. So Jesus got away to his quiet places where sometimes it was just him. And sometimes it was Peter, James, and John with him. Wow. And even then, he left them in the distance and went away by himself. It's okay.
It's okay.
It really is.
I would say the phone, I keep mine, turn the ringer off all the time. My ringer is off all day, every day. It is, because that is how I keep my sanity sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It is. The cell phone could be detrimental to you. Mm-hmm. It really can. I am a big proponent of just sitting down in the dark, no TV, no phone, no radio, no talking, and just quiet. And just breathing.
And you don't fall asleep?
No, I don't.
She said you got too relaxed.
No. And my husband will walk in and the lights are off and he's like, what's going on in here? I'm just having some me time.
Setting the mood for myself. All right.
That's good. I do that. They think I'm depressed. No, I'm just relaxed.
Right. It's just, that is what I do to relax. Something that I recommend to every person that I work with that's so relaxing and help me, journaling.
Yep.
Highly
Journaling
Got
is,
mine right here.
yes,
Yep.
yes, every day. I
Yep.
recommend it to clients, every client, journal. Put those internal thoughts that are going on in your head down on paper,
Yes.
because one day it could actually turn into a book.
That's good.
Right.
So that's why I encourage journaling. Nature, love nature. Just getting out, going for a walk. When I have my oh yeah, cuts down on the electric bill. Yes, sir.
Apostle Green said, "Lady keeps the light up because electric bill, not mental health."
That's right.
Listen, if you're not in the room, why is the light on?
I know that's right.
Turn it
Turn it
off.
off. Okay. Shut it off.
That's a part of home ownership. Turn off that light.
Right, right. Cut down on that bill. So that's actually twofold. It's mental health and finances.
Right.
They go hand in hand sometimes.
You're a stressor too. If you ain't got the money, yeah, you're gonna be stressing out about that too. So yeah, turn off that light.
Yes, exactly. But going for a walk at lunchtime, what I do during the day is very stressful. So just taking those few moments, I'll put the dog on her leash and just go outside and walk. And just intentionally inhale and exhale. Look at the beauty around you. That is so relaxing and it helps as well.
That's the part I was talking about, the anxiety. All you're doing is overworking your mind and you become anxious. And
Yeah.
you're trying to figure out stuff that you don't have to figure out. So the first thing I do is if I'm dealing with someone that's having so you do have anxiety, panic attacks, I get them to breathe. And like she said, just stop and breathe. Breathe with me, breathe to bring them back in the moment where they are and not trying to figure out 20 years from now. Right. Stay in the moment and breathe with me. Then once I get them to stop and breathe, I tell my church all the time, the people when I'm teaching, I said, pause and pray. I know we don't want to over spiritualize everything, but prayer does work. It's not something I just say, it's what I do, because God knows your anxious thoughts. He knows He knows you. So if you can just really, if we really released our anxieties to God, we wouldn't be anxious.
Right.
But we're too busy trying to figure out the next moment, the next second. And like even in conversation, I tell people, are you really listening or are you just preparing your next answer?
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm teaching a lot about prayer. I said, prayer is a dialogue, not a monologue. And in most times you should be quiet.
Right.
And God should be talking.
Right.
But no, we come to God with our wish list and rubbing the Bible and let him poof out like a genie. No. When the Bible says be still, it means shut up.
Yeah.
And if you listen if you're reading any portion of Genesis, it is God himself. His voice is the only voice in the garden. His voice. Yeah. And if you're looking at it, it is always God initiating the relationship with man.
Yeah, that's good.
So we can get to the place of being still and do less. We got 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen more and talk less. Some of y'all anxiety will alleviate itself.
That's good.
I often say, how can you hear what God is trying to tell you if you are steadily talking? Shut up.
What it is. That's simple, I guess. You know what I mean? Kind of that be still. And sometimes I think that's hard because there's so much going on, and we've kind of the first, year and a half of the pandemic, we were at home. And then we just kind of got stir crazy. Like now I gotta go and make up for all that time I was just sitting, still and couldn't get out of the house and couldn't go. But even still, we have to remember to put that time on your calendar, to be still, to take that time for yourself, to just relax your mind and to breathe. I mean, breathing, like you said, it does wonders. Because I know a lot of times when we have these issues and these, their anxiety attacks, their panic attacks, we don't understand what they are. So we go to other medical doctors thinking that we got something else going wrong with us. But mental health a mental illness can present itself in so many different ways that if we just sit and start to think about, how did I get here? like what happened, for me to get to this point. We can see it may not be actually, a physical body illness, but there's something going on in our mind that we can't get control of, that we need help, with or whatever. And then being okay, especially, in the church, being okay going to a therapist, because your pastor can't do it all.
Come on.
They're not in that, profession. And it's great when you have someone that is a pastor and is a therapist, like the both of you, well, you can go and you can sit in both of those roles. But in other cases, you can't look to your pastor for all those things. And so we have to be able to sit and understand, where do I need to go to get help, or who can I reach out to that knows somewhere, or can talk me off the ledge to get me to go get help. Because sometimes we're in that denial, like you said, that we need help in the first place.
Absolutely.
So and then getting to the place to get out of fear, get out of the judgment of what other women or who else is going to think, that I've been in therapy. I'm in therapy. I know Key's in therapy. I've been in it for years. I don't care who knows. I mean, it is what it is. But just being able to encourage women enough. And so saying that, I want to get to the next question on what can we do as women to continue to encourage each other in this self-care and kind of mental health journey.
I think, first of all, it has to be intentional. And I think what we're saying, sounding like a broken record, but at the end of the day, first admit you need the help. You got to admit that. And it's okay. And then the other side of that, to be okay with the fact that you need help. Because I think that's one of the hardest things, especially as African-American women, to ask for help. Because if you was raised like I was raised in a strong Black home where my mother was a law, and she raised all of us. She had 3 girls, all of us to be that independent, self-sufficient. If you want it, you work for it, you go get it. And so that was one of the challenges I had to overcome in my marriage with Apostle, was because I don't let him be the man. He is the man.
Right.
But that was something that I had to be reprogrammed with, because I walked in like, I don't need you. You should be happy I want you.
Well,
I'm back.
Okay. But the reality was, as a wife, and the Bible said, being submissive too.
Yeah.
I had to be deprogrammed and realize that I not only need you, but I want you.
Right.
And that was my safe place.
That's good.
But I had to, and I thank God for my training, because in order to become a counselor, you had to be counseled. You had to. You needed a counselor to sit you down to make sure that you worked out some of your issues. And as Kiana pointed out, I had some deep, dark childhood issues that, number one, I didn't want to face. Because my father was in the military, but he was also an alcoholic. But, and in the house I grew up in, you didn't talk about stuff. Stuff just happened. And what was in your house was in your house.
Right.
And you didn't go to auntie. You didn't even talk amongst your siblings. That was just them doing it again. Whatever. Right. And 2 things that happened in my household that should have been traumatic to me. But when you're young, I was the baby of the 6. That was my normal. For daddy to get up and throw my mother out of a window. Thank God we lived on the 1st floor. But the first time she broke her wrist. The second time she broke her ankle.
Wow.
And I seen this. And I was like, oh, that's just daddy doing what daddy do. He throws mommy out of the window. How is that normal?
Right.
That's not normal. And then the last thing that happened was the fact that my father was in one of his drunken stupor. He was a passive drunk. He wasn't violent and cursing and all of that. But when he did get up and take action, you kind of got nervous because you didn't know, is he going to throw mommy out the window again? What's going on? Well, the last time was the last straw for my mom. My father picked up the biggest knife he could find, and he stabbed my mother. The blade went through and through, and he pulled it out and slapped the blade on the table and said, and don't talk about me again. Sat back down in the chair as if nothing happened. And they rushed my mother to the hospital, but you would think my mother would have left my father. Oh, no. Back then, you didn't leave. Back then, that wasn't called abuse. You stayed. You stayed. And I had to be all of 5. I remember it. It's nothing my siblings told me. It's something I seen with my eyes, and I remembered.
Wow.
All of that came out in my counseling session with my counselor making me a counselor, because I never had to face it before. What do you mean that's not normal? That didn't happen in your house?
Right. Wow.
What are you saying? So facing what your, like I said, that's why I don't contribute to normal. What was your normal? What was the traumas in your life that set you off? And when you could get to those hidden secrets, things that we tucked away in the recesses of our mind, then we could start to heal and admit those insecurities to ourselves. Because we strong Black women, sometimes you're weak and you want to cry like a baby.
Right.
And we got to create that safe place for you to do that without judgment. No judgment. Any counselor will tell you this is a judgment-free zone.
Mm-hmm.
This is a safe place. I'm not a gossiper. I'm glad to say that in my 23 years of ministry with my husband, no one could ever say that they spoke to Lady Greaves and heard their business anywhere. Does not happen. And even in the military, does not happen. Because you have to build up that confidence. And when they let down that guard, please don't abuse it.
Right.
Right.
Right. That's
Because
it.
if it took them that long or take us that long to get them to that point,
Mm-hmm.
be that safe place. Don't abuse it.
What I will say on that, you're absolutely right, Lady Greaves. It is so important to know that, one, it's okay to talk about what you've experienced. Because that, when you can actually vocalize it to someone else,
Right.
then you
She froze.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, Lord.
Oh,
Oh man, hope we can get her back in.
she's coming back.
There
There we
we
go.
There we go.
Hi. Please finish that sentence.
but I was saying it's so important to actually vocalize it, because once we vocalize it, you're starting the healing process. But it's also important to make sure that you, as the counselor, set that tone with the client to give them, to make the space comfortable,
Right.
to build that relationship. Because until you build the relationship and the trust, they will not let down the walls.
Right.
They will not let down the walls. So it's so important to build that foundation. In the African American community, we don't like to go to counseling.
No.
We don't like to do it because someone's going to
Taboo.
think you are crazy.
Crazy. Taboo.
Right. Just like with Lady Greaves in my household, and with growing up with my mother, what happened in the house stays in the house. You don't go outside and discuss it. You know, as a young person, late teens, I lost a child.
Oh.
So I couldn't go and seek counseling. That was a no-no. That was a no-no. And then 2 years later, I lose another child. I still couldn't go to counseling. It took me 20 years.
Wow.
20 years to go and seek counseling, just so that I will be able to counsel other people.
Yeah.
And so that's so important that we know, especially as women, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be vulnerable. But to the person who's helping them, it is imperative that you are empathetic, make sure it's a judge-free zone, and that you maintain confidence in what they're saying to you. That is so important, because they have let down their guard to say, I want to talk to you about this issue. So once you establish those things, that sets the tone for healing, and you can walk them through that process. A lot of people want to know that they have someone beside them who will walk the journey with them.
That's right.
While they heal from whatever it is that they've experienced.
We have a question. That's a really good question. When going for counseling, why should saints go to Christian counselors? My counselor is a Christian counselor, and I love her because she can tap in the realms of the spirit to know where, if it's a spiritual thing or it's a Kiana thing. You know what I mean? So that's why I preferably like a Christian counselor, because I get the best of both worlds. Well, ladies, you can answer that question.
I think it's also because I could have been a clinician. I don't particularly prescribe the medication. I mean, if you need it, that's fine, and I'm not knocking it. But I find that non-Christian counselors are quick to hand you pills.
Yep.
They're very quick to prescribe something, for anxiety. Here's a pill for sleeping, and here's a pill for if your insomnia. I mean, they're very quick to write up that prescription. Take 2 a day. Call me in the morning. No. Whereas if you go to a Christian counselor, yes, we're going to give you the scripture, and yes, we're going to give you prayer. But as Lady Williams pointed out, I'm hoping I'm building that confidentiality, that you feel comfortable, that safe space to know that I am praying for you. I have to. We don't have to pray in counseling. You should ask the question: can I pray for you, or do you want me to pray with you? Especially in the military, I have to be aware that everyone don't have the same faith as I have. I
Right.
still have to counsel them.
Right.
So I will ask permission sincerely. One time, one of my soldiers, don't pray for me. I said, well, one thing you can't stop me from doing is pray for you. I said, whether you know it or not, I don't have to come over there to pray for you. I said, I
Right.
pray for you every day. I said, because you apparently got issues. And we could, and sometimes laughter and joking is a good way to break the ice too, being relatable without sharing your own hidden secrets. I just said this earlier in one of the sessions that I did, that the counselor got to be very aware of the fact that they are coming to you for counseling and not you going to them. Because sometimes we project our own. Because girl, I remember when, and we
Yes.
start on our own thing. Not your moment, not your session. You are the counselor, not the counselee. Okay, so we got to remember that we can do a point of references, but make sure we don't disclose so much of ourselves that they're counseling the counselor. So we have our own venue for that. But when you're coming to a counselor, a Christian counselor, they, as Sister Q pointed out, they should have that spiritual awareness, that what the spiritual discernment, that calming voice, that praying spirit, the right scriptures to apply when you need it. That's why I prefer to be that Christian counselor as opposed to just writing you a prescription and say take 2 of these and you'll be all right. Because most of the people I know that, like I said, I'm not knocking meds. Some people really do. You might have other issues. Maybe you're imbalanced.
Right.
You need this to balance you out, or there could be some underlying condition that you do need this meds.
Right.
But it should not be. You should not be dependent upon them. Take them as needed. It should not. If you, every time you got something, you go into that med, you're developing a problem.
Right.
So you have to be very aware and very conscious. Like I said, if you need the medication, take it, but please don't be dependent upon that. We want to still depend on God. So my preference would be a Christian counselor.
I have to certainly agree, because I do believe, and I've actually experienced it, where I've gone to what I call a secular counselor, and it's like, okay, I'm going to write you this prescription for Prozac, or I forgot the other name for it, Paxil. And you go ahead and see me in a month if you need to see me. Well, how about you actually sit down and talk with me?
Right.
How about we just have some dialogue right now? Whereas when you go to a Christian counselor, I can say for myself, I've prayed for you before I've actually met with you.
That's
Right.
good.
Right? I prayed for you before we even come into session. So you already know that when you come into session, you coming with me, you see Christian and believer on my website. That's what I do. And I think sometimes that will scare people away because they don't want to see anyone who's religious per se.
Or they'll say, I don't want you to preach at me.
Mm.
Or they'll say they have a precondition, or their prejudices will say that you're going to judge me. Well, then that's what you just do to me. You just judge the fact that you think of what
Right.
you think. Like I had to explain to somebody before, I'm a professional at what I do. And I do know how to separate my faith and my belief to genuinely help you. Because like I said, in the military, I have to counsel, I don't care who you are, a Wicca, a Wiccan, and now they got the Norse. I'm like, are you serious? But if you come to me, I have to counsel you. I'm not gonna, take down what I believe. But if you come to me with this, oh, I believe Thor is God, I had to tell I'm telling you a real live scenario. The soldier came into the chapel talking about, can he change his M4 weapon for a hammer? I said, get out of my chapel. And he thought I was playing. I was like, come here. So let me give you a scenario. You're in the war and you have a hammer.
What?
You might hit one person, but then they're going to shoot you.
Right.
Because you're not Thor and your hammer is not coming back.
Oh, Thor, the superhero Thor.
That's
oh my God. What?
The Norse religion believe in Odin and Thor and
What?
Zeus. And is now an acceptable religion in the military. And this guy really wanted to exchange his M4 weapon for a hammer.
Oh my
God. I explained to him, if God saw fit to put you in a war zone and you have a hammer, you're going to die because you're not Thor.
Wow.
And you're going to throw your hammer. You might hit one person. You might, depending on how good of a shot you are. Then they're going to shoot you.
People crazy. Lord mercy.
Can't say crazy, but get out of my chapel.
Oh.
I can't make this stuff up.
Oh my. Wow. Well, this has been such an amazing conversation. I'm loving the interaction. We thank you guys for joining in. And listen, March 17th, get your tickets for the women's luncheon, All Shades of Green. We will have women conversation just like this. We'll be fellowshipping with one another. Lady Grease, you want to talk about the luncheon really quick?
I'm so excited. Lady Rookett, Lady Gray, and I, and the women's department with Pastor Mary Smith, and the women's clergy wives and widows with Lady Linda Stevens. We've worked so hard to bring something together for all women. If you are a woman in Bible way, we want you there. It doesn't matter if you're a pastor wife. We want everybody. It's the IBW Women's Luncheon. If you are a woman in International Bible way, you don't need a title. We're leaving all that at the door. We want you to come in your shades of green. We're going to have prizes and giveaways. We're going to talk about pearls of wisdom and pearls and diamonds of wisdom, where the older ladies will mentor if they had a chance to talk to their younger version of themselves, what would they say? What advice would they give them? You don't have to be in ministry. Just as a woman, what would you say to the younger version of yourself? We're going to have game. We're going to have IBW Jeopardy. It's just going to be a good time. We're going to give away a Michael Kors bag. You have to come to find out how to get that. So I'm going to give it a little hint. It's going to be what's in your bag. So you might want to stock some stuff in there that people don't normally put in there. And if you get what's in your bag and all the items, you might walk away with something very nice. So there's a lot of prizes and giveaways and food and fun and fellowship. So that's what it's about. It's not church. It's no preacher. It's no speaker. It's just straight up genuine fun and fellowship. So come out and be with us so we can enjoy your company and get to know. And there's one other thing we're going to add to it. It's called wellness, where we're going to bring, I personally will bring cards. And what I want to happen, I'm bringing 100 cards. What I want to happen with the stamps, that you volunteer yourself, one younger person with an older person, get their address and mail that card once a month. I'm providing you the tools. Because like I said, everybody don't do Facebook. Everybody don't do internet and emails and all that. Some people like to receive that card. So if you're going to volunteer to do that, you pick 12 cards, get the address, put that stamp on it, and then remind yourself once a month to just drop that card in the mailbox to them. So we just want to connect and bridge this gap.
I'm loving it. I'm loving the vision. I'm loving it. Lady Greaves, I told T I got my dress today. It just came in the mail. Let's just pray that it fits. I might have to fast for the next 2 weeks. Let's just pray that it fits. But ladies, get your tickets. I see Pastor Mary Smith is up here. T, Grandma is up here.
Yes. Mother Crystal say Grams.
We love you, Grams. Thank you for tuning in with us. This has been an amazing conversation. Ladies, if you have not got your ticket, get your tickets today. Register for this meeting because we're going to have good church, okay? We're going to have...
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, go ahead, Lady Green.
If you do not like registering online, we will accept your registration at the door. But by International Bible Way leadership, they really want you to register online, because if you register at the door, instead of being $35, I've been instructed to charge $45 at the door. So that's just trying to encourage people to register online. If you don't know how to register online, let us know so you can pay in advance, and we'll work with you at that door for the $35 price for the luncheon. We want to work with you. We're not trying to tax anyone.
Right.
We want your ministry or presence to be there more than the money. We just want a fellowship. Like they said, we haven't seen all of y'all in 2 years. We love for you to come and just let us be a blessing to you.
Absolutely. And men, you don't have to miss out. If you would like to donate a ticket, you
Amen.
can donate a ticket to your wife, to your sister, or to anybody. We want to pack out. We want to sell out this women's luncheon. This is the first time we have done this in a long time, and I am so excited about it. Again, ladies, thank you so much for this great conversation. I'm loving all of this. This has been such a blessing. And if you need a therapist, you can contact Lady Greaves or Lady Jackie. Listen, and if they can't help you, they can direct you to someone. We
Absolutely.
want everybody to get all of the help that we need. Our chief apostle said he wants us to be whole mentally, spiritually, and physically. He wants our whole being to be whole so that we can be effective in the body of Christ. Before we close out, ladies, do you have any final words tonight?
Just be intentional about be intentional about staying fit, mind, body, and soul. And I'm praying for you all.
Amen.
And I will just say, in the hustle and bustle of life, it is important to put yourself as a priority.
Yes.
Amen.
T.
Man. I mean, this was awesome. Thank you so much for all of your words of wisdom. Thank you to everyone that was watching. Thank you for, supporting Key and I and the show and different topics that we're talking about. And, I just can't stress enough is to, trust yourself, trust your instinct, pray for that discernment to know what's going on with you, and don't be afraid to reach out for help.
Amen. Amen. We thank you guys. We have stayed above 40. So I think we beat Jason and Spud. We'll see tomorrow. So girl power. Who run the world, girls? Yes. This has been so good. We love you guys. Me and T will be back next week. Listen, we're closing out all the way to the women's luncheon. So join us next Tuesday here at the same time, and you will see the next guest that we have. We have some great guests coming on. But tonight, I feel, I don't know, I feel like a breath of fresh air. I feel good. I feel good. I feel like, I could just go on for the rest of this journey. I don't know about you, but this has been so good. Thank you all again. We love you. We appreciate you. We praise God for our leadership. Apostle Greaves was on tonight. We thank God for him. Apostle Gray, Apostle Rooker, Mother Gray, and Lady Greaves. We appreciate the leadership of International Bible Way. And we thank Elder Jason and Elder Darrell Brown, the marketing team, for giving us this opportunity and this platform to have this Girl Talk Tuesday. All right. We will see you guys next week. We love you. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night. God bless.